Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what I like to do is to create videos that I would have found helpful when I first got out looking for treasure. Today's video is going to be a little shorter than usual because we're going to be answering one question. And that question is one that I get quite frequently, which is why don't we use pure silver? Why do we have sterling or other kinds of silvers? And the answer to that question is just because of durability. So what I have here is I have a selection of objects, and we're going to show you the difference in sort of durability between pure silver and alloyed silver. Now, pure silver will be things like these, which are actually pure, and they tell you that, pure silver. We'll talk about how these came into being. I'll sort of show you what the durability of those is. We have sterling objects like this one. You can see there we've got sterling. And then we have a couple other objects here just to show you that not all alloys are sterling. Now, sterling is 925 silver, or 92.5%, with 7.5% copper mixed in for durability. Pieces like this are what we call coin silver. This is an old American coin silver spoon, and this is 90% silver with 10% copper in it. Again, that increases the durability. Even on a really thin piece like this, it's much more durable than it would be if it were pure, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. We have other pieces, like this is an old German candlestick, and this one is, as you can see here, 800, indicating that it's 800 silver, or 80%. And then the remainder should be copper, but I'm not sure. Sometimes when you get with this 80%, there will be other things. There might be some nickel in there, so it may be 80% silver with 15% copper, or 10% copper and 10% nickel, to try to preserve the color a little bit better. Or sometimes you'll get things which are 95% silver, like this piece, which is French, and it has that little Minerva hallmark there, indicating that this piece is 950 silver, or 95%. Now, 95% silver is pretty durable, much like, as you can see here, I'll just flex this. This is a little thicker, but still, you see how it just kind of bounces back? That's what we're looking for in our objects that we're going to be using. If we're going to drink out of this cup, we want it to be able to do that. Now, the problem with pure silver is that it doesn't do that. And the funny thing is it only takes the 5% here, just 5% copper, to change the property of the silver dramatically. So you can see here, see how this piece is all wavy? And this being pure silver, as I mentioned, I can just bend with my fingers here. See that? And it stays bent. Now I need to try to not do that very much, but for the video, I just wanted to show you. This piece is also pure silver, and I can show you how that works. Voop, stays bent, as opposed to a piece which is sterling, or 925, which you can see down there's a mark. When you do the same thing, it springs back. Short answer, that's why we use sterling, because it does that. If you had, say, a pair of tongs, these are sterling tongs, I think. Zoom in and verify. Yep, sterling right there. If you had a pair of tongs like this and you went to pick something up, but like this, once you bent it, it stayed bent, what would happen when you do that? Well, the tongs would stay. However, since they're alloyed with 7.5% copper, they're good to go. And that's all it really takes. So you can have more or less almost pure silver, but then actually be able to use it, make it functional. Now, you might ask the question, why would anybody make anything out of pure silver if we're trying to have durable objects? And there are reasons for it. Now, sometimes those reasons are a little bit, maybe a mistake. For example, it's very rare to find pure silver like drinkware like this. As you can see, just over the years, and these were made probably, best I can figure, these were probably made like 1947, thereabouts. So they've been around a little bit, and these are Japanese. And you can see each one of them has its own engraving. different patterns. There's gold wash on the inside, and they're very, very nice. I love these things. In fact, I use these. I think we've had mead out of them. A friend of mine makes some mead, and we will drink that mead out of there. Um, but you may wonder, okay, they're Japanese, so why do they say pure silver CPO? And that's a bit of a hint as to why these things are pure silver, because the CPO was I believe, chief procurement office of the army, and these were made in occupied Japan. What would happen after World War II was that there were people that needed work. Post-war Japan was pretty rough for a while there. And say you were a very fine craftsman who could make very nice things out of silver. That's great, but where are you going to get the silver? How are you going to find silver to actually make something that you can sell? What you could do is you could go to the CPO and you could say, "Hey, I want to make some things to put in your shop to sell to the personnel who are stationed here." AKA the only people who really had money to buy a silver object at that time in Japan. And then the CPO would order the materials that you requested, and you would turn it into a beautiful set of little cordial glasses or whatever we would call these, and bring it back to the CPO, and they would sell it. And I believe they would then just take out whatever the cost of the materials was, and you'd get paid for what you made and what you did. Um, Now, whoever was ordering the silver when they ordered silver didn't know that it would be a good idea to order at least 950 silver, or they didn't know to get some pure copper too. I'm guessing there was some language barriers, some challenges there, and what ended up happening was this artisan just ended up with pure silver. So that's what they had. That's what they used. And we have a set of pure silver cordial glasses. There's also some possibility that people thought that was cool because they didn't realize the difference between sterling silver and uh, pure silver. They might not have realized that that was the case. Or another possibility is that somebody actually ordered these made, and again, that person who ordered it wanted pure silver because that sounded better, and they didn't know the difference between sterling and pure silver. Maybe somebody asked. I'm not sure exactly what the story is, but I'm guessing that any artisan worth their salt would have at least gone with 95% silver. There's a lot of 95% silver that's made by the Japanese, but the pure silver, I think that was kind of a little bit of an issue just due to how these things came into being. Now, there are other times when you would actually choose to use pure silver, though, to make, for example, a piece of jewelry. So this here is, if we zoom in, a piece of Chinese jewelry, and this bracelet is pure silver, 3/9 fine silver, even though the little eggplant and soybean that hang off of it are sterling. These are 92.5% silver. Now, the reason that this is actually 3/9 fine silver was because that is part of the design. You can see here how it opens up and it stays. And you close it up to fit your wrist and it stays. Now, if it were sterling, it wouldn't stay. So this being soft and being malleable was the design point of it. That is how this bracelet works, which is why you would use 3/9 fine silver to create this design. Other pieces sometimes might be something like that. So for example, here we showed this piece. You can see if I open it up a little bit, it stays open. Whereas with this one, which is sterling, open it up and it springs back. That's not to say you can't bend these, and I should show that real quick. Sterling will bend. Like here's an old. See, It's not. Don't go home and think that your sterling is completely unbendable. It definitely is bendable. It's just very, very different when it's got 7.5% copper in it as opposed to pure. Now, this particular piece, I don't think that the reason that it's pure silver is a design element, because it is actually a fairly weak bracelet. In fact, this particular bracelet was one that was damaged when I found it, and these pieces had actually come up. And I think what this actually is was a piece that was uh, produced by a student at our local jewelry school at the there's a this valley has a really good little community college, and they have a really good jewelry school. And I think the reason that they went with pure silver as opposed to sterling silver was they were actually braiding this, and being nice and soft made it a lot easier to learn how to braid some silver, as opposed to something that's going to have more spring and require more effort to actually produce in the first place. So there are reasons that you would have um, something that's pure silver as opposed to something that's alloyed. But generally speaking, pretty much anything you purchase, pretty much anything you want to buy these days, and for very, very long time, honestly, will have been sterling, or some kind of alloy like 830 silver, 83%, or this one, which is 800 silver, or coin silver, which is what we call 90% silver. And that's because coins alloy, typically, most or many coins alloy 10% copper into 90% silver to make them more durable, because after all, coins are going to be riding around in your pocket, so you're going to want them to be tougher. And that's what this was actually made out of, is melted down coins, which is why 90% silver is often called coin silver. With that, I'm going to go out and finish this video. I hope that you found it useful, maybe even, dare I say, entertaining. Most of all, though, I hope you learned something from this video that you can use to go out and find yourself some treasure.
Like this, I've been Thomas.